primary place for storing documents. This will help you this afternoon. It's quite a useful tool and is far more than just a place to put folders and files, as we'll find out in just a bit. We will have any questions in chat. I've decided not to use a form this afternoon. Sorry for the misleading message there on screen. If at the end of this you want to unmute your mic and ask me any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those. So the recording has begun and we will tuck into what we're going to do with OneDrive. OneDrive, we'll look at why it's personal and shared files. We'll look at also accessing those files remotely, and then we'll look at how you can manage your files by sharing them from OneDrive, and also how you can edit online. So the first thing to say would be, if I come out of the slideshow, when you land either on your landing page in Office 365, or you may use the app launcher in the corner, OneDrive can be accessed by clicking up there. And then when you end up in your OneDrive, it will look something like this. If you've been using it, you'll have folders with files. Or if you've never come before, there'll be a little banner across here with a robot that says something like, "Yippee, welcome to OneDrive, please start using it." So you can merrily, at the bar at the top, this is called a ribbon, you can click the bar and you can add new folders in. And when you add a new folder in real time, so if I do one of those, so I might call it admin test, create it, it will create your folder straight away up here. And there's the folder I've created. I can go into my folder and I can see at the top, here's the path I've taken from my file section into my admin test folder. And I might then have another folder in here called Office. A couple of people seem to have their mics unmuted. If you could just mute your mic for me, please, that would be really great. And then once you've got in the admin test folder, you can go to Office. Let me just go in and mute everyone's mics for me. If anyone's got their camera on as well, could you please just switch it off, because you are being recorded and you will be then put on our YouTube channel. I'm just going to mute everybody. And there we go. Pop back over to Teams. Once you're in your folders, you can navigate backwards and forwards in OneDrive by just clicking on the level you want to go to. So I wanted to go back one step. I don't need to press back in the web browser. I just press the button there. You can have OneDrive on your computer as well, although this afternoon we are primarily focusing on OneDrive in the web browser, but OneDrive would appear over here on the left. And any folders and files you've got in the online version would appear on your desktop, and you can open and edit from there, and the changes will be saved back to the cloud. But we're going to focus exclusively on the online version today and look at how we could use it. So if I wanted to create a new file in here, maybe I've got a PowerPoint, I go from the new launcher at the top, click PowerPoint presentation, and it will open it up as a tab up here in my web browser. So you've got Office available online. It might be installed on your computer as well, but you've got what's called web app versions of Office. So here is PowerPoint. I don't have to have a computer with Office installed. And sometimes if you're working with pupils at home and maybe they haven't got it installed, they can work quite happily here out of the browser. So I can pick my design. It's in there straight away, and I might just rename my title Staff Meeting. The font I've got is all in capitals, but you can change fonts to have lowercase fonts. So it works just like a real piece of software that's installed on your computer, except it's up there in the cloud, which makes it also accessible from anywhere, which is quite a plus point, particularly in the current situation. It might not always be that you can go into school, or you might not have a remote connection to the server. Well, if you've got your personal files saved in your OneDrive, they're available from anywhere. You could be in Australia for all it matters, as long as you've got yourself a web browser. Files as well, you don't have to save them and go in and rename them. You can name them on the fly. So we might call this Staff Meeting. And whatever I've renamed it as up there will save straight back to my OneDrive, and you can see it's saving all the time. So you don't need to bother to go to File and Save As. You can download a copy if you want, so you can save a copy and you can download it offline, but you don't have to. It will work quite happily up here in your OneDrive online. So when you finished editing it, that's where I wanted to be today. I'll add some more slides to my staff meeting afterwards. Just press the cross, and then I've got my staff meeting document in here. It's all saved. Press it again. If I want to go back in, I can carry on editing. And there is it, exactly where I left off. And then I could add in a new slide if I wanted to. So I might go over to here once it loads up and put a second slide in, and it would all just save online again. So this time I think I'll have a section header, and in it goes. There's my section header, and it was all saved. And if I shut that down again, that's there back in my OneDrive. So you can work in your OneDrive and you can use it for creating a new folder structure. You can also create new files here. And the other way of getting your information in, it might be that you've got an area on the network. It could be that you're saving your files on a USB stick or a hard drive, which can be quite risky because they could snap, get dropped and break. But if they're in their OneDrive, they're here. Even if you delete them by mistake, they stay in that recycle bin, usually by default for 30 days. That's the default policy in Office 365. However, your school can set its own policy for when your deleted documents go out of your recycle bin. You can upload. So if you press the upload button, you can choose whether you're uploading files or folders. So if I said, for instance, I was uploading a folder, it goes to my downloads area. I might go to test. And then in here, if I had another folder, I could upload that folder. If you just got a folder with documents in it, which is what this folder has, it won't display the documents because you've chosen upload folder. If I then went to upload files and went back to the same thing and I go into test, there is my document that I couldn't see previously because I selected upload folder instead. That's one way to do it. Another really simple way to do it is to have your computer with your normal downloads folder, whichever folder you're looking at, and let's say I wanted this file over, I grab it, I release it, and then it will then upload across the internet. I get a little message up here, it's uploaded, and then it's there. If you're going to upload a lot of folders and files, maybe you've got quite a few that you keep on this USB stick that you've got so far, I would allow a lot of time to do that. Depending on the size of the files and the folders, it can take a while. Sometimes it's best to leave that until you're in school as well, because schools usually have a good upload speed. But once it's over there, you can just carry on with your document and it's fine. It will be there in the cloud just like it was on your USB stick previously, and that becomes your area where all your files and your folders are stored. If you do find that the online version of Office, in particularly here Word, doesn't have every last feature, it's got most but it doesn't have everything, you can click the button saying open in desktop and then it will open in the software on your computer. But because you've opened it from the cloud, all of your changes will be saved back to your OneDrive. You don't have to worry about then saving it locally on your computer. It automatically saves up there. You've also got the option, once you've got all your files in here, you can start to manipulate them and share them. So it used to be, once upon a time, if you wanted to get a file across to someone, you had to save it on the network drive on the server, or you had to attach it to an email and email it to them, and they downloaded it and edited it and sent it back across to you. Well, you don't need to do that any longer. You can share documents directly from your OneDrive and you could collaborate on them. You can do that from inside of Word. So you can press the share button there. And then when you've pressed the share button, you can choose certain settings, which we'll go into in a bit more detail in a moment. You put the email address of the person or the people you wish to share with. You could also give it a message. So this is another reason why you don't need to then attach documents to email anymore. It's much more secure as well. And you can send them a link directly to this document. Your OneDrive is private to you, and unlike shared areas in your school, so you might have Teams or you might have SharePoint drives, they are shared and everyone has access and everyone can edit or delete. But your OneDrive is personal and private to you, and unless you invite people in by sharing or giving them a link, nobody else is going to get into this area. It's safe, it's your area, and it's attached to your email address. The other way that you can do it is, if I wanted to go for my admin document, I can click the button there, and you might notice the ribbon change at the top. If I unclick again, that's the ribbon there. I've got the upload options and I've got download and automate, but the minute I tick it, the ribbon at the top gives me a different set of options, and that's a common feature in Office 365. I could copy the link, so I can press copy link. And what that will do, it will give me a link I can paste into other things. So I might want to paste it into my Teams in my staff area or my staff team. If you've got settings down the bottom here at the moment, if you copy it like that, anyone who gets that link would be able to get into your OneDrive. So you need to make some changes, and I'll show you that in a second on the share link over here. Another way is to share directly instead of just copying a link. Now on that menu I've been alluding to at the top, it says anyone with the link. It's quite a dangerous option to leave ticked. You really want to make sure that you've got either someone in your organization or people that maybe have accessed that document before, but I would advise choosing specific people. You can then give them the option to edit, but if you don't want them to edit and you want it to be read-only, or so they can only view it, untick editing, and it means when they open a document, they'll have no way of making changes to it. You could also block them taking a copy by downloading it by flicking that button on there as well. I'm going to go back and I'm going to allow this person to edit, so I'm going to press apply, and it saves all those choices I've just made. It's all raveled up back in that option there. I am now going to share a document with a demo person in my organization, and I'm going to say here, please add your comments. And I'll press send. And what that does is it gives them an email notification in their inbox. It will also add their documents to their shared list, and I'll show you that in a moment. For me, it's saying sharing is private currently, but once that sharing all takes place and it applies, it will say it's a shared document on the end. So it's also an area for you to know if that document is shared or private. If it doesn't show up straight away, you might need to refresh your browser for it to pick up. Just let that refresh, and then you can see that's changed, and now it tells me that I've shared that document and somebody else could potentially have access to it, so it makes me aware. If you want to find out a bit more information about who has got that there, you press the I in the top right hand corner, and then down here it tells me the name of the document. It gives me a little preview. It also says who has access, so I can go to manage access, and then down here it shows me that I've got access externally to someone called ACA Demo. If I wanted to take that access away, I press the cross down there and it becomes private to me again. You could also get share links from here too. You can also stop sharing by pressing the button at the top. I'm just going to come out of there. Another useful area down here is activity. So when the changes are made either by you or the people that you're collaborating with, there'll be a history log down there, and you can roll back to previous versions. So if you like the version you had 2 weeks ago and somebody inconsiderately goes in there and messes it up for you when you've shared it with them, you can roll back to a previous version online and it'll be exactly like it was 2 weeks ago, and you can get your copy back. It's a bit like having a backup, and that's all available in Office 365 and OneDrive. I've said we've shared it. Now I'll have to imagine a little bit here that I'm now the recipient of that document. Over on the side here, we've been in My Files up until now, but you've got a shared option on the left-hand side. So if I went to shared, this is where if I was logged in as that user called ACA Demo, I would see my files that are shared with me from other people. So here are 2 files that have been shared from someone else. It tells you the date they were shared, but you can sift by date or name or person shared or activity, and it gives you a summary. If you opened up that file, you would be looking back into that other person's OneDrive, and any changes that you made would be applied to their original version in their OneDrive. If you know that's not what you want to do, then you can take a copy of it by ticking on the side, and then you can move it across into your OneDrive, and you can put a copy in your My Files and you can edit that. But if you want to collaborate, you just tick or click on the one that you've got. When it goes into it, so this is a OneNote file, you can merrily add in there. You can have multiple people all live in the document at once. You don't have to have version 1, version 2, version 3, and then merge everyone's changes that they've made individually afterwards. You could all be in here, and when you're editing on the page, we'll call this section demo, and once you're on that page, everyone would appear on here with their cursor flashing. They'd have a little flag next to their name, each with a different color with their name or their initials, and what they're typing on their computer, maybe from home and you're in school, would appear in real time on the screen. It's really useful for things like reports. I know many people have been doing their reports in current times. So if you were writing your class reports and you were sharing them with the subject lead or maybe your head teacher, they could then add their comments on, and they could sit quite happily in your OneDrive called reports over in your My Files, but your head teacher could look into your reports, and let's say it was this one here, documents, they could add their comments on, even if you haven't finished adding all your comments on, and it would automatically save, but they don't need to ask for access as long as you've shared it with them in the first place. So OneDrive itself is really meant for personal file storage and mostly working with your own documents and sharing the odd document across. If you want to start to share a large amount of different folders with different people or different files and folders, then you're looking at the wrong application. It's not OneDrive. You would either have a SharePoint area set up, which works like a shared area on your server, except it's in the cloud. It works like a OneDrive, but for shared access. But more recently, it's been Teams. And over in Teams, you might have things like a staff area set up. And then inside of your team's staff area, you'd have files. And now this is like your whole staff shared area, and you'd have all of your server shared area, which used to be called staff shared, would now be up here in your files and folders. And you can also have that synced to your computer as well if you press that button. So it's a very different use for Teams or for SharePoint. OneDrive is just to replace your personal area on the server or that USB stick or external hard drive where you might currently save all your work. And it's a bit of a mindset change. If you're someone's nervous about having all of your documents in the cloud, you can still download a copy if you wish, and then you could back them up offline. So you could tick them there, and then you could download a copy and keep it somewhere else if you wish to, and keep that securely, but then primarily work out of your OneDrive. For this afternoon, those are the main areas that we were going to show you, but I'm more than happy to answer any questions if they're over there in the chat. I'm going to stop my screen share and just have a look at the chat on the side and see if anyone's got anything they want to share with me. Also, I'm quite happy if anybody after us answered the questions on the side. You can ask them out loud. I can see someone said that they were not hearing me clearly, and some other else say it's fine. Apologise if the audio has been a bit choppy. I haven't seen any indication my end, but sometimes people do get that, and it also depends on the broadband at your home or in school as well. Anybody got any questions? Because there's none in the chat on the side. Does anybody want to unmute a mic and ask a question at all? Anybody using OneDrive?
Oh,
yes.
Hi. Today I was using my computer, but I don't have Word. It's my office computer, not my laptop, and I don't have OneDrive on my machine, so I couldn't save. I couldn't work out how to save it to my OneDrive from work.
Okay, so you're working on a computer, and are you editing that document on your computer from opening a program on your computer?
Yeah.
So if you want to save to OneDrive, let me reshare a second. You might need to save that document on your computer. So for me, I've saved this admin document in my downloads folder in another folder called test.
Yeah.
And then you could log into your Office 365 and you could go to OneDrive by clicking OneDrive there. And then if you wanted to, and let's say I put it in my test folder, so I go in there, and then that document that I've got on my computer, I can just drag it across and move it into my OneDrive like that. There it is, straight up there into my OneDrive. Or in the long term, you might want to raise a support ticket, and you could get OneDrive mapped onto your computer. So it's one of the locations you can save to when you're working on your computer. As long as you chose File, Save As, and your OneDrive, it would then save back up to the cloud as well. So there's two different ways to do that.
Yeah, I think because I have it on my laptop like that, so it'd be easier if it was on that. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you.
No problem at all. Anybody else got any questions? Any experiences of using OneDrive out there that anyone's got they want to share with everybody else that's on the call? No? Okay. Well, I'll just thank you for coming along this afternoon, and I will remain here to answer any questions if anybody wants to ask anything as other people drop off. We've got two more webinars next week, one Office 365 and one G Suite, so you're more than welcome to join us for that. But otherwise, I bid you a good day and hope you're all going to be safe this afternoon, and I will speak to you all very soon. So I can stop the